Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Probably I will try to do another publishing of the Death Stranding, the first game, another episode. Two more to go, and I can wrap up that series. Yesterday, I didn't manage to get some time free to get some live stream done. We'll see about today. Again, I cannot commit to anything at the moment. Other than that, afterwards, I will be starting publishing for sure the VODs of the live streams I already did. Basically that's it in terms of updates there. Let's go for some news here. Similarly, we might get some bad news in 16th of April, if not mistaken. I think that's the date when TSMC is going to do their how they call it, the quarterly meeting and all that jazz, earnings call. I'm not sure. Given that the fact that again, we all know the AI industry, high-end chips, and all that jazz, being highly dependent on TSMC, coming from just to name a few, the usual suspects, NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, plus other big companies. I think Apple also does the chips here. I'm not sure, according to some reports here, they're going to discuss the influence of the geopolitics on its operations, whether the supply chain turbulences could affect its output numbers. My guess is it's going to affect, and if this continues, it will affect immensely. It's already being affecting. The fact that to a certain degree these companies have some sort of reserves for the raw materials to continue to produce, just in case it's any kind of interruption. But usually, I suppose the planning of these companies is short-term interruptions. I think this is going to make a dent on the manufacturing of chips. The fact that TSMC already has a high demand on a clientele that wants to produce their high-end chips, specifically the 3 nanometer chips and the upcoming 2 nanometer. This is going to affect very much not only the output of what TMC can do, but also the prices, because again, scarcity is king, according to Jensen Huang. And of course, when you have scarcity, the prices will immediately always going to ramp up. And again, who's going to pay that is going to be the final consumer. One of the main concerns that they have is the fact that the island of Taiwan is very much dependent on LNG, so liquefied natural gas. And I think the majority, I'm not sure, 80 to 90%, my guess, comes from the Middle East. So through the Strait of Hormuz, which at this moment is selectively blocked per se. Even though supposedly my understanding is the fact that you had it's not even the fact that some of the raw materials that pass through the Strait of Hormuz are blocked, is the fact that the retaliatory strikes there, especially from oh my God, the island, completely for Qatar, sorry, which has it's one of the main producers of LNG. Some of the strikes in some of the not refineries, but one of the conversion factories there for LNG affect them 70% of the output, which will take a lot of time to recoup. I'm not sure regarding how this will affect the sourcing to the island of Taiwan and again other clients. They declare already some force majeure in some clients. I'm meaning from Qatar in terms of distribution of LNG. So the situation is not good. In terms of other producers of LNG, supposedly United States is a big producer of it or exporter. But supposedly they already had, I don't know, again, it's hard to to go for and take seriously the word that supposedly they already have a deal with European countries because they cut themselves out of gas from Russia a few years ago. But again, it's a messy situation there. But specifically Taiwan and even more specifically to TSMC, I think not only is the LNG a crisis because of the fact that a lot of the electricity generation output in the island itself comes from LNG generators. So they burn LNG or they burn gas to produce electricity, which is not good. Plus the fact that, again, one of the unseen and not that much talked about, the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is blocked is the fact that there is sulfuric acid and also helium, which is used to produce high-end chips. And I think 1/3 of the helium output comes from the Strait of Hormuz, and I don't know about sulfuric acid, but again, there is a lot of petrochemical industry in the Middle East that outputs huge amounts from the global market. And again, given that there is a selection of who passes or not through the Strait of Hormuz in and out, again, it puts all of these industries in a very precarious situation. And again, I was saying that we're already seeing some scarcity on the 3 nanometer supply, high-end chips there. Again, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I will assume that TSMC will do the best they can for sure, what they have. And if they need to start to, I don't know, cut down or start rationing energy, electricity specifically, given that this is an island for all intents and purposes, I'm not sure how this can be, I don't know, maneuvered. But again, given that, again, TSMC is very important for the island of Taiwan in terms of generating wealth and all that jazz. So I'm not sure how this is going to be balanced. But yeah, I don't foresee easy times. But yeah, and the fact that, again, given it is an island, they cannot have, due to physical constraints of the geographical space that the island has, to have huge amounts of LNG stockpiles, which usually only last for a few days. Again, this is going to be a tricky situation. 16th of April, around 9 days or so, which will going to be this call. I'm not sure how this is going to affect mainly the production of these chips, and again, the overall intended consequences of the trickle-down effects, which is if they cannot produce that much, the companies don't have enough to sell afterwards to other companies. Again, this might contribute to a certain degree to the AI frenzy that and madness to a certain degree that we've been seeing. A lot of stuff is hopefully, again, this AI is more a bubble than anything else. Again, I can see where you can, in the industry itself, AI, which is not even AI, it's machine learning basically, can be helpful in certain ways on all over the industries that exist around the globe. Yeah, I'm not sure how this can be sustainable because companies can only afford that much of just melting money on the supposedly AI frenzy. We see that a lot of companies that provide what we call AI services, they are not recouping the money that they invested of the promise of the wealth and riches that AI industry will bring, specifically OpenAI. They are not doing enough money to account for the investor money that they are getting there. They are not having the same amount in return, which is very weird. That the fact that they always double down on stupid to a certain degree. We've been seeing this also with Microsoft. The fact that there was a time that they were doing, I don't know, X amount of the code for the Windows is made through AI. Again, it's a shit show, plus the Copilot stuff that they're trying to force people's throat. And people are rejecting this because it's too much at the same time. Again, they do. The problem with these big companies, they just function in a 3 month period in terms of quarterly earnings. They cannot implement a long-term plans to numb people little by little to be, I don't know, to have time enough to understand what AI can do or not. Again, they just want to throw everything on the kitchen sink on people's throats, and that will not stick. That's my assumption there. We'll see. In about a week's time, we'll see how this goes. But it's not going to be easy. Even everything starts going well in terms of all the raw materials that TSMC needs for TSMC needs. Sorry about that. We will see some trickle down on the prices in a few months' time, because again there was an interruption, and sometimes these things take time to be affected on the customer side of things. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this goes, and we might get I don't know, maybe we'll get, again, the fact that the priority seems AI on the, let's say, CPUs and GPUs on the consumer end. Again, probably it's going to be more delays because there is a priority there to make more money out of stuff, so of the stock that they have. And I will assume that these companies that are buying these chips, the priority is still going to be AI and not the consumer market. And talking about consumer market, we have, again, given that East Asia is the most affected markets for all the, I don't know, for transportation, from raw materials, specifically more about gas and oil and all that jazz. Interestingly enough, we've been seeing some memory, especially memory kits and some storage coming down in some markets and increasing to the double in others. And this is the case on South Korea. We saw some, Jesus, which is mind-boggling, some 4 terabytes SSDs, specifically from Western Digital and Samsung SSDs and NVMEs. 4 terabytes costing $3,000, which is insane. Even the 1 terabyte 1 terabyte NVMEs costing double of they were used to cost like a few months ago. Again, this is not good, and I don't know how this they will go about here. This is basically, again, this is not to a certain degree. I expect that this is intended. I think this, again, regarding the supply chains and all that jazz and the manufacturing output of these things, and the fact that there is, again, the priority of AI, everything is taking a second, third, and 10th place on the consumer market, and the trickle down of the products available is diminishing to a certain degree, if that makes sense. And basically, it will lead to the scarcity of the offer of products, and that will all and the fact that the demand maintains the same. Again, prices will always rise. It's kind of the let's say free market 101, which is demand and the offer, how it works. But yeah, we've been seeing too much inflated prices, specifically in this case on South Korea. I'm not sure about the rest of the East Asia, from, I don't know, Japan, Indonesia, and all those countries there, even Australia to a certain degree, how this fares. But yeah, again, we will start to see on the west side of the globe, I don't know, North American, Latin American, even Europe markets, things like this starting to ramp up in price all of a sudden, for sure, even though it's already inflated prices. But again, I think we'll start to see even more inflated prices regarding storage and even RAM. And talking about RAM, again, I don't think it's worth taking this out of proportion. Supposedly, Colorful will bring back some DDR3 motherboards in May. Again, DDR3, it's technology around 10 years old or so, if not mistaken. Again, this is a limited restock. Especially, I think it's more, from what I understand, more directed to company-wide stuff there. So companies that don't have enough money to upgrade their systems, for example, to DDR4, DDR5, and they are asking to maintain at least kind of a more budget-friendly upgrades. it seems that DDR3 based motherboards, specifically on the H81 chipsets, again, it seems that that they are on the market being sold as new. Very interesting. But again, this I think is more corporate kind of the market, so company side. Again, I don't recommend any kind of new builds on DDR3. Again, the fact that it's so limited, so old, it's not worth the value that you're going to take out of it. There are some channels that they are still recommending DDR4 based builds. Again, you can take some out of it. I think, for example, AM4 platforms is still viable to a certain degree, depending on your budget and expectations that you can get out of that hardware. But yeah, again, even the market of companies, it's very limited in terms of again, in terms of the budgeting for upgrading to newer technology, because it's not worth the big investments for what the hardware is used for. Again, I'm assuming POS, so points of sale stuff there, and I don't know, stuff that just needs something to, I don't know, regarding inventory management stuff there and client databases. I don't think you need huge amounts of AI-powered PCs to manage simple stuff there. I think it's more about that and making something that it works and you can pull out of data that you need for inventory management, order management, and even points of sale stuff there. I think there are also newer stuff there, for example, with the cell phone chips. I see some, even laptops can be used as a point of sale at this moment in time, so I don't see, again, this is limited. It's not something that you're going to see a revival of. So if you see something like this, DDR3 making a comeback, again, take into account that this is mainly aimed at corporation stuff there. And then lastly, talking about games, I only had one game that caught my attention, which is Star Wars Zero Company. This is kind of a preview, so kind of what we know so far. I think I covered this. I remember seeing this trailer, and I think I covered it. And I'm, let's say, I'm enthusiastic about this one because it's been a while since a pretty decent XCOM-like game has come out. I see some of them turn-based strategy games there, but again, this might be a good one, mainly because there are a lot of XCOM veterans working in this game. This is kind of a relatively new studio that, oh my God, not Beat Reactor, sorry. And they have from the art director from XCOM, again, it's not the mechanics there, but a lot of veterans on the developer side of things, they are working on this game. Again, even though it's published by EA, hopefully they don't go weird with this game. But from what I've been seeing, it's has a lot of feels of XCOM, specifically more XCOM 2, and there are some, I don't know, introduction of or adaptations of stuff that we saw with Midnight Suns, in terms of how you interact with the support characters there, which seems very, I enjoy it enough. But for that, you have to have a good story and good characters for you to interact with. Again, given that we saw a lot of recent Star Wars games not being that good in terms of specifically on story and character-wise, and the fact that this is kind of characters that we never saw, so it's the even though it goes around in the Clone Wars era, we never saw these characters, so I will assume that we'll have some references of characters that we know from Clone Wars if you watch the series there and if you are aware of that time period. But again, hopefully the characters and the story itself is pretty good, because if you have like Midnight Suns, the interactions with the characters and kind of choice consequences with certain interactions of certain characters, again, if the story and the characters are not, and motivations of the characters are not good enough, it just that mechanic is basically wasted. I might as well not have it and focus more on the gameplay systems. But again, I'm hopeful, but I maintain my expectations relatively low, mainly because of the recent Star Wars games. Again, they don't seem pretty good, specifically on story-wise and character-wise. Again, given that if we have like good mechanics from XCOM 2, hopefully this will be a good game. Again, it's very much on the same line. We got the main hub, which is called the Den. Again, I think you can have, besides squad management, you can have like the upgrades and the base stuff that you do, the research for upgrades, hiring recruits, and all that jazz. It will have a similar thing as days, time-sensitive missions also. Again, then you have like for sure those if I'm correct, for sure you have like you have to select or to have to prioritize certain time-sensitive missions. So you have to kind of pick and choose, which adds to a certain degree a little bit more replayability in that sense. You will have like special characters per se, which is kind of authored heroes. Again, I assume it's like special classes within these characters, which will have special abilities by themselves. And again, here it comes the fact that you have the interactions and the way that you interact with that character. They may continue to stay on the squad or just completely leave, depending on supposedly the character's motivations to join your ranks. But yeah, it's interesting. And the fact that we got something that, again, I like very much from Mutant Year Zero, which is an approach in the maps that you can explore in third-person view. Again, I'm assuming you can kind of explore the map, sneaking around, trying to see the map the best as you can, and to position your characters in a way that you feel best for approach that level. And the fact that those levels is going to be very focused driven. I think the combats mainly will get around between 4 and 6 team elements there, squad members, sorry, 4 to 6 squad members. And I think it's going to be more focused instead of trying to do like a big level with huge amounts of enemies to defeat. I think it's going to have a more focused approach there, it seems. Again, this game seems okay from what I've been seeing here. Again, my only concern is the fact it's being published by EA. So I don't know what the mandate or mandates are regarding, I don't know, the game itself. And the fact that this is a Star Wars themed game. Again, I'm a little bit reticent regarding the fact that most recent ones were not that good. But yeah, hopefully this one can be a good, at least XCOM-like game. And if he has like at least something that it's worth exploring regarding the character-wise motivations and have a pretty good story. Again, the story, the main gist is you are fighting a shadow menace kind of a thing there. If it's not dealt with, the galaxy will be the normal thing. The galaxy will be threatened as it exists. But yeah, it's like a rogue band of people or persons trying to go around and defeat this menace there. It's mainly to justify the fact that it's going through the Clone Wars era, and it's something that for sure it was never addressed that there is this kind of underground syndicate. Again, there is a lot of stuff they can do with this, hopefully. But yeah, other than that, this is what I got in terms of news. So I will wrap up with some gaming deals. We have Cocoon, a puzzle game. Seems pretty good. I think it won some awards when it came out. And it's 50% off. You got 75% off on Journey. Again, I played this one on console a while back. I really did enjoy, and I do recommend, especially at this price point. We got Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. Again, this seems a pretty good game. It's kind of tower defense kind of a game there, and it seems pretty good, based on Japanese folklore, and you basically need to purify the mountain there and protect the goddess there. 25% off seems pretty good. It's one of those that I'm willing to try on one of these days. We got also Guardians of the Galaxy. I mentioned this one given that it was the latest game from Eidos Montreal that had the layoffs there. But yeah, this game seems really, really good. I did claim this for free on the Epic Game Store. I didn't play it yet, but again, very positive feedback from everybody that played, and at this time is 85% off. We got No Man's Sky. Again, if you like, I don't know, open galaxy or open universe sim, you can do, I don't know, they already put almost 30 major updates on the game. Again, this game seems to be the one, if kind of the promise what Starfield should have been, if it had some story and characters associated with it. But yeah, this one seems pretty good, and it's 60% off. We got Okami HD, 50% off. Again, and this is a remake of an older game, which is Okami. Again, very positive feedback from everybody that played since the game came out years ago. We got also Red Dead Redemption 2. You still get a couple of days for 75% off on this game. And then lastly, we got Stray. You play as a cat. I don't think there is nothing else to say here. Again, overwhelming positive feedback from everybody that played, and it's 40% off. Again, I'm going to wrap up here with just plug my Patreon for extra support. I don't do anything exclusive, it's just extra support if you like. Other than that, I will try to publish as much as I can regarding and wrap up between, I think, tomorrow or after tomorrow, the publishing of Death Stranding Director's Cut gameplay series. And then I will be start doing the VOD stuff there. And regarding live streams, all that jazz, again, I cannot commit to any definitive schedule. I'm a little bit all over the place with work here and there, depending on the days. But as much as I can, I will continue to live stream Death Stranding 2 and also do the VOD stuff there. At the moment, it's what I can commit to, even though I cannot promise any scheduling on that. But yeah, other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.